So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another video. I'm going to be doing something slightly different for you guys today. This is going to be a shoe review slash comparison slash try on slash styling slash video. As you can see in the title, we're going to be doing a comparison between the GH Bass Weejuns penny loafers and the Aldo Kiran slip-ons, both in black and white. So the reason why I was initially attracted to this shoe is because this sort of style of shoe, the black and white penny loafer, in my opinion, it's just a shoe that I think every person, man or woman, should really have in their wardrobe, just because it's such a versatile shoe. And right now, with the direction that my wardrobe is going, I'm really trying to incorporate pieces in my wardrobe that are timeless, pieces that can be mixed and matched with different things within my wardrobe quite easily and seamlessly, and things that I can see myself wearing for years to come. And this style of shoe really fit into that universe. So I wanted to pick these up for myself. I did buy them myself. These were not sent to me as a PR gift or anything. So you can be sure that I'm going to give my full and honest review on these two shoes here. So a bit of a background. I was Googling to see the shoes. Of course, I first came across the Weejuns, but as I was searching and looking up this style and just kind of seeing what was out there, of course, you've kind of got your standard ASOS version, which I think is it's just really a no-go. If you're someone that's concerned about quality and you're looking for a loafer that's going to be in your wardrobe for a long time, it's probably best to stay away from most of the sort of ASOS level shoes. You're probably not going to get as much quality from them, and there's a visible difference between the look and the quality of the shoe compared to a shoe at this sort of level. This is kind of the entry level region of penny loafers that you can kind of get. So while I was browsing, I saw the Weejuns, of course, because I think GH Bass is really kind of like the go-to for penny loafers, of course. And then I also saw this cheaper Aldo version, which caught my eye. And the reason why it caught my eye is because it literally was about $130 cheaper or so. And it looks the exact same on the econ pictures. So I thought, why not pick these up? However, when they arrived, then I was kind of like, what do the GH Bass versions look like, and why are they a little bit more expensive? And not to spoil the video or anything, but I decided to then go ahead and pick these up and just see if there was any difference. The differences between both shoes were clear. Let's start off with the Aldo versions. So initial unboxing, it's pretty standard, typical sort of shoe box. It opens like normal, I guess. And then you have your shoes inside. They come in a nice dust bag. Again, nothing out of the ordinary there. And then you have the shoe as so. So first impressions, it is a very beautiful shoe, and I was impressed because I've never actually bought a shoe from Aldo before. So I was quite surprised and impressed by the finish, by the quality, and by the design. Sometimes I feel like you can get loafers, and when you look at the loafer, you can tell that it's quite, the design is not great, but that was not the case with these Aldo shoes. I was quite impressed initially, and I thought they were pretty good. So as you can see here, pretty standard penny loafer. There's nothing really out of the ordinary there. You have the tissue inside, and then you've got this little holder thingy-majig to keep it in shape. You've got that new leather smell. I don't know if anyone else is like me and likes that new leather smell, but I love the smell of like a fresh leather shoe. Okay, anyways, moving on. According to the website, you've got the upper material which is leather. So this is all genuine leather. The lining is synthetic. The insole, so the inner side, is imitation leather, so you're not getting any real leather inside, which I don't really think is that big of a deal. You've got the sole on the inside that's attached firmly in there, so you're not actually going to remove the sole. I'm pretty sure you can rip it out, but I'm not going to do that right now. And then the sole is sort of like a natural rubber sole, and then you've got your stitching along the outside right here, and the stitching is in white. So yeah, you can see here the stitching is not too shabby, apart from a few super tiny nicks here and there in terms of the stitching of the shoe, but that's really not a big deal. But I'm just coming in here to give you guys a close-up of the shoe so you can see. Definitely impressed by this. It's not a bad shoe at all. I paid €103.96 for the shoe. It was on sale when I bought it for 20% off. The original price, as it says on the Zalando website, which is where I actually ordered from, is €129.95. So considering taking that price into account, and for this style of shoe, I would say that's pretty good personally. It's not, I mean, this is cheaper than most trainers, funnily enough. Just to look a little bit more stylish and dress yourself up a little bit more and still be comfortable, because these shoes are comfortable. The insole is quite comfortable. It's not something that's going to hurt your feet. For a stylish shoe that's going to go into your wardrobe and be consistent in your wardrobe, and something that you can pair with other outfits, this is a fairly priced shoe. I got these in a size 13, so a UK 13. Another reason why I was drawn to this shoe is just because they actually have my size. So obviously, like, I do have bigger feet than the average person, and it can be quite difficult for me to find shoes at times. So I was attracted to the shoe because they actually did this in my size. And when I tried this on, it fit pretty much perfectly. It actually was quite spacious. I did find that when I was sort of walking or I was moving my foot, there was a little bit of space here on the outside, and I could see them sort of like just sort of widen a little bit, which I didn't like too much. The insole is the Aldo Pillow Walk insole, which in my opinion is reasonably comfortable. It's quite soft. Nothing too special. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put your own insoles inside of them as well, because they're quite spacious. So size-wise, the sizing above 9.5s are all, so above 9.5 is a full size. So for example, if you're going to get size 10, 11, 12, or 13, those are all full sizes. You can't get any half sizes in those, but 9.5 and lower, you can get half sizes. So what I would recommend is to get a half size down, potentially if you are for example, let's say that you're a size 9, I'd probably recommend with these shoes to get an 8.5, just because they are quite spacious and there is a little bit of room. And if you're not someone that likes to have too much room in your shoe, then I would definitely suggest that you kind of size down. If you're someone that has a wide foot, I would say to go true to size. But if your foot is quite narrow and slim, then you can go half a size down and expect for it to fit snugly with socks on as well. So break-in period, I actually don't know, because I haven't worn either shoe just yet. As you can see, they're both still pretty fresh. But I would say that the break-in period for these Aldo shoes are probably, I would say there isn't really a break-in period, just because initially when I put them on, because they're so spacious and roomy, I have a wide foot personally, and I was expecting for it to be a little bit snug, but it's not. The leather is not sort of, the leather isn't very tight, it's quite soft leather. So that's why also I recommend to get that size down, because as we know with leather shoes like this, they do tend to expand and adapt to your foot. And if you get something that's too big, it starts to look a bit goofy after a while. So definitely get true to size for this. And yeah, for the Aldo shoes, I don't think there's a break-in period for these. It could be different for everyone, but just because they're so snug and they fit so well, I don't think that you'll have any period where you'll need to like go through any pain to actually break them in. In terms of styling, what would I say? I mean, styling wise, you could definitely style these very, very easily. You can wear these in the summertime or you can wear them in the fall, winter time. That's why I love these shoes. In the summertime, if you wanted to style them with shorts, you could do that. You could wear sort of like a wide pair of shorts or jorts, for example. You could actually do jeans, shorts, jorts. And you could do like white socks, for example. That would look fantastic. I'm not in team no socks for loafers, unfortunately. I was pre-2018, 2017, I would say, a few years ago. I was definitely an advocate for loafers without socks, but I tend to wear my loafers with socks a lot more these days. I mean, if you're, let's say it's the summertime and you're going to a wedding in the south of France and it's like super, super warm and you have a nice pair of trousers that fit these shoes well and that sit and rest on the shoe very well, then you could probably go sockless, or you could go with sort of like the invisible socks as long as they're not being seen. I would say that's fine. But yeah, these definitely are a formal shoe. But what I love about them so much is that because they're such a formal shoe, you can actually style your outfit in many different ways. So you could actually go for a pair of, if it's your style, you could go for a pair of joggers, for example, sweats. You could style these with. You could style them with shorts, as I mentioned, and you could also style them with the traditional slacks as well. Just making sure that all your trousers are fitting perfectly and they're tailored well, then you shouldn't have an issue styling these shoes, styling them up or styling them down. Let's go on to the big boys. So these are the GH Bass Weejuns penny loafers. So unboxing, you've got your typical paper here as normal, and then you've got the shoes inside of the box as standard. So this is the shoe. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I initially went for the Aldo Kiran slip-on loafers because they were cheaper, but upon ordering these, I'm very, very glad that I did, because as I can see, there's actually a notable difference between both of these shoes. So we're gonna jump in. There's a lot more detail here that we're gonna sort of dive into. I think one important aspect to consider when going for these shoes is just looking at both of the brands. So Aldo, they kind of serve that cheaper entry-level point of shoe. So they're one of those brands where the quality isn't bad, but it's also not great as well. You know, it's just good, it's acceptable. And for the price, and if that's what you can afford, I would say that that's a good shoe to go for. But when we assess the GH Bass Weejun, we can see that there's a notable difference in terms of the quality and the design, and that pretty much is just because of the history of GH Bass. So GH Bass, the brand, was established in 1876, so it has over 150 years of heritage. The brand was established by George Henry Bass in Wilton, Maine, USA, and it originally focused on high quality outdoor work and footwear. In 1936, the Weejun was created, and it was inspired by the Arlen Mokazon from Norway. So Bass adapted the design to create a polished, elegant slip-on shoe, ideal for casual and semi-formal wear. The name Weejun was derived from Norwegian to honor the design roots. So in the 1950s, the Weejun quickly became a staple of Ivy League schools, adopted by preppy college students. It was popularized by Hollywood icons such as James Dean and Grace Kelly, and people wore them sockless as a sort of rebellious energy. but it still gave this polished look, and it really defined the relaxed elegance of American fashion. So the reason why Weejuns are still so popular today is because they're a blend between heritage and adaptability. The shoes are rooted in tradition, but they also continue to evolve with modern styling. These shoes are seen as a bridge between casual and formal, and they're pretty much the perfect choice for any occasion. So let's go ahead and assess the quality differences here with the shoe. So as we can see here, the GH Bass, as I mentioned, does, in my opinion, look like the higher quality shoe. You can see that the leather doesn't glisten as much as the Aldo Kiran, but you can see that there's a lot more details here in the stitching and the finish. The finish does look a lot more clean than the Aldo shoe does. There's no sort of nicks, coming undone. It's stitched very, very, very well. You can see that the sole is also a brown sole. You do have your rubber here at the end. Of course, these soles can be replaced as well. You've got the black and white detail, of course. Now, the thing that I really was drawn to initially was the color difference between the two. So these are the GH Bass Weejuns, and these are the Aldo penny loafers. Now, first things first, both of these shoes are the same size. They're both size 13, but you can see that there's a notable difference in the size of the Aldo Kiran shoe as compared to the GH Bass shoe. And of course that does present us with a difference in the way that they both fit. This one of course is wider and more spacious, and this one is far more snug. And of course I haven't worn these shoes just yet, but I do imagine that there would be a break-in period. But I have had shoes with this sort of similar quality of leather before, and the break-in period, yes, it does last maybe for a few days or a week or so, but what tends to happen is the leather starts to mold and adapt to your foot, which is pretty normal. The Kirans, as I mentioned, I didn't think that the break-in period would be as long, but that's mainly because the shoe is so much bigger than the GH Bass Weejun, substantially bigger. I do have a wider foot, but I still opted to go for these shoes instead compared to these, mainly because you can see here that the white of the GH Bass Weejun is actually white, and you can see here that the Aldo loafer is actually cream. I don't know if you can see that, but it's more so like an off-white instead. I mean, just looking at that right there, you can see that the leather at the top doesn't seem to be as strong as the leather here on the GH Bass Weejuns. So yeah, I mean, I can understand now why there's a price difference in between the two. The GH Bass Weejuns, I personally feel that the shoe has a much better finish. I feel like it has a much better shape, a more sleek shape. It does look like the more expensive shoe out of the two shoes. The leather quality, they're both leather shoes, but I feel like the leather quality of the GH Bass Weejuns are much higher. I feel like the stitching on the GH Bass Weejuns is better than that of the Aldo shoes. The GH Bass ones, you can just feel that it's a lot. It just feels like it's a lot. It's done with a lot more quality, but I do kind of like how you have this brown finish here on the GH Bass Weejuns compared to just the standard rubber sole here on the Aldo Kiran shoes. So one shoe is 230 euros and the other shoe is 103 euros. So that's a 130 euro difference. So the question now is, which shoe has the better value? Well, I am going to end up going for the GH Bass shoes instead. I do understand that they're a little bit more expensive than the Aldo versions, but I just like how the shoe looks in comparison to the older versions. These are definitely not bad, and I think for the price that you're paying, for the value to quality ratio, I think this is a great shoe. So it's not really knocking the shoe either way, and I think the value to quality ratio of the GH Bass shoes are also great. It just really depends and comes down to what you can afford at the end of the day, and whether you're looking to make that sort of long-term investment into the shoe. If you can afford that, extra pinch of 130 euros, and you can, you can take the hit on that, then I definitely would recommend that you go for these shoes. Just because, if you're thinking, if you're someone that's trying to build a wardrobe for the long term, and you're really looking at, buying things and including things in your wardrobe that you're going to have for years and years to come, then it's always good to go for the higher quality shoe. I do think there are more expensive versions of these shoes, like designer brands, and I don't think it's necessary to pay 700 euros or 500 euros or dollars for a shoe of this type. I think that a shoe from a brand like GH Bass or from Aldo, depending on what you can afford, will suffice for this style of shoe. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's my first time actually making this type of sit down comparison video with shoes, but I know these shoes are quite popular right now, and there are a lot of people considering them or looking to buy them. So I thought, why not do a review as I have both shoes in my possession. If you do have some questions, pop them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'd also love to hear from you guys as well. If you have these shoes, what do you think of them? If you're thinking of getting these shoes, which ones are you leaning more towards and why? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, and yeah, I'd appreciate if you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well for future videos, and I'll see you guys very, very, very soon. All the best.